Former Dragon Age lead writer David Gaider had a complete and utter meltdown over the past couple of days over on Blue Sky regarding character designs in modern video games, especially coming from Western game designers. He really took an issue with people criticizing those designs, but hilariously enough, he is the one who admits that the art style for Dragon Age the Veilguard made him feel made him feel cold. So he actually agrees, seemingly at least on a deeper level, with those criticisms. But as we'll find out, he can't actually join his voice with the people that he ideologically opposes, because it's not about actual creating art, entertainment, escape, fantasy, constellation, etc. It's about selling you his ideological and political agenda. So before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Roll this up over at thatparkplace.com. And David Gaider posted this over on Blue Sky. He says, the females aren't hot enough, obviously, with all the capital letters, like I'm trying to mock the arguments that are being made. And he says, yet because they've clued into the notion this is obviously incel behavior, they've swapped out unattractive for masculine and thus transgender, because that's a framing which makes them seem political instead of porn-brained. But we all know what they mean. This is total and complete gaslighting. We literally have Del Walker admitting that when he was submitting character designs, that they were rejected and then they were changed to make them look uglier. He even admits this. We also have other insiders that have remained anonymous, claiming that they are trying to push this transgender ideology, and they're doing it through the video games. We see this literally. We just saw the Dragon Quest creator Yuji Horii literally saying that they can't even describe characters as male and female anymore. It has to be type A, type B, or type 1 and type 2 because of the insane gender ideology. So we know that this is complete and utter lies, because we have people literally telling us that it is complete and utter lies, such as Dragon Quest creator Yuji Horii. And then you can just look at the difference, right? You can look at characters like Kay Vess from Star Wars Outlaws and compare it to a character like 2B from Square Enix. Or you can compare it to characters like 2B from Nier Automata or Eve from Stellar Blade. They obviously actually look like women, have feminine features, do not look like they are being masculinized, especially when you look at how the actress that they are based off of doesn't look anything like the actual character model in the game. Another example being Unknown 9, Awakening, and Anya Chalotra, how they have basically just ruined her looks for that game as well. Nevertheless, he goes on and says this, and here I am recalling how this has been a thing ever since some dude whined 10 years ago about Cassandra actually being a man, posing over and over and over about her giant jaw, and posting phrenology pics to scientifically prove why his private parts remained flaccid. So he's literally trying to say that this has been happening for 10 years. And there was one person back in the day who I guess was complaining about Cassandra, which completely disregards the absolute pattern that we see today. Clearly just grasping at straws to try to prove his point, which I think he knows he's lying deep down inside. He knows what he's doing is wrong. He knows that he is actually lying, but he doesn't care because he's doing it to push his political agenda, his political messaging. Because just a day later, he actually posted this. A question I've received frequently as of late: will you be playing the new Dragon Age? Asked with a degree of, I don't know, anticipation, like this is something I do covertly to spite the current team or out of interest in hearing my true and honest thoughts. My answer, it's complicated. Honestly, I don't think I can play and enjoy the game like other fans play and enjoy the game. Not ever. On one hand, it'd be fun to play my first Dragon Age game post-release without seeing all the compromises and cuts and disappointments from years of development. On the other, it's my baby. It's moved on. So there you go. Big keyword right there. He says that the Dragon Age franchise has completely moved on with Dragon Age the Veilguard. He actually goes into all of these different points about how it has moved on, where it's basically a completely different franchise, completely separate from everything he had done in the past, because he says this: do I like everything I see? Not really. The art style leaves me a bit cold. But then the art style has changed with every Dragon Age, and as before, I'm sure I'll warm to it eventually. The gameplay has changed. The news on choices from previous games gives me pause. None of this would stop me, however. So he's saying the gameplay has changed. They're not taking choices from previous games, and he says the art style leaves him a bit cold. Remember, this is the guy basically mocking people for pointing out how they are destroying female characters in video games. And now he is the one saying, oh, the art style for Dragon Age the Veilguard leaves me a bit cold, because he does recognize that this game is empty, that it is soulless, that these character designs, that this art style is indeed empty and soulless, because it is just simply pushing a political agenda. I mean, just look at this. This is ugly. It is disgusting. It is repulsive. Like, you want to get away from this. Like, that is your natural instinct. This is ick. It's just ick. It's wrong. It's ugly. So, and he recognizes this. He recognizes this. He says the art style leaves me a bit cold. But when you recognize it, when you recognize this, when you point this stuff out, he's going to mock you. He's going to attack you. He's going to hate on you. And that's exactly what he does. We get down here. Obviously, he goes on and talks about, furthermore, how he's going, whether or not he's going to buy the game or not. And he basically comes to the conclusion that chances are I won't. That's no slight to the team, who I wish every success and kudo possible. I know the road to now was paved with whores, so they deserve it all. But even he seemingly isn't even going to buy the game. He's not even going to buy the game because, again, right? This is the perfect example of the modern audience right here. This is the guy that they want to buy the game, but he's not going to do it. He's not going to do that. Do it. But he will call you incel and chud and attack you for pointing out that these character designs, these art styles are ugly and they're trying to push a political agenda. When he does it, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. It makes me feel cold inside, but maybe I'll warm up to it. But if you point it out, you're an incel and a chud. And he says this right here. I'm in the process of finally shutting down my Twitter account, and yet I noticed a fresh spate of angry mentions there. These more clueless than the last. What could have? I mentioned incels, so who should take notice but their sweaty, palmed, self-declared emotional support animal? Obviously denigrating Mark Kern, a.k.a. Grums, who he screen capped here after Grums had shared a number of his posts where he was previously attacking gamers. And then he says this: I guess this also means a fresh bunch of chuds wandering over here to make fresh accounts just to object. The clever thing to do, you'd think, when incels are mentioned but you aren't named, would be to not stand and identify yourself. But identities are important, I guess. It's true. So this guy is just a sick, twisted individual. He doesn't actually care about the art because he says that it makes him feel cold. But when you point it out, you are an incel, you are a chud. That is what he's saying, because all of this for him, it's about pushing the political agenda. And this is what Isaac Young has said. I think he does a really good job in this video. I've mentioned it a couple times, but he says this: the problem is that there is no longer anything behind Hollywood's politics. I think you can apply this to the video game industry as well. Only power and those who wield it. So again, he actually agrees with us that the art style sucks. These character design sucks. He says it makes him feel cold because he recognizes that it's empty, it's soulless. But he can't actually agree with us. He has to attack us because it's all about power and those who wield it. There is no religious piety, no transcendental belief, no ideas of right and wrong, no vision of the future, no philosophy, no history, no metaphysics, no style nor substance, no reckoning with God or hell or hope or fear or love or death, not one honest belief that is anything other than you're a racist, and so we deserve to be in charge. You can replace that with incel or chud or whatever ad hominem David Gaider decides to think up next, because it's all about power. It's not about finding any meaning. It's not about anything that provides consolation, fantasy, escape, all the things that Tolkien talks about that make a fairy story a good fairy story. If you want to read his essay on fairy stories, highly, highly recommend that to anyone out there. So Isaac Young, right on the point here, and David Gaider fits it to a T. We see this. We see this in just 3 days here of posts on Blue Sky. He goes from attacking people to admitting that the people that he's attacking, he has the same kind of emotional reaction. These designs make him feel cold inside, but then he has to go back to attacking people within the next day because he cannot be seen as actually lending them any credence because you have the wrong politics, you have the wrong ideology, even though his ideology is objectively evil. There is no if, ands, or buts about it. It is evil. And then Young also adds this: the great gods of identity politics only exist to serve the left's material desires and will incarnate to whatever form that best serves that task. This is why every historical figure was secretly gay and also black as well. This is why women eternally oppressed by the patriarchy, but men are also women. This is why this is why no matter how hard conservatives yell hypocrites, no leftist will ever change his, her, its mind about anything. He later added, it can't say anything substantive because that would pose a threat to itself. To make any claim that the world does not immediately serve the vulgar desires of its creators is to create a standard which might be turned on them, an alternate view with which someone might voice their objections. And to elucidate this, obviously, Gaider recognizes that the new art style makes him feel cold inside. I've kind of said this already. And it's a recognition that he does recognize that Dragon Age, the Veil Guard, is empty. It is soulless. It doesn't have any of those things that Isaac Young mentioned there. That there's no metaphysics. There's no, nothing is transcendental. There's nothing like that. However, while he recognizes this on some level, he rejects it to toe the party or ideological line and does so by bashing the people who also recognize that the product is empty, but he cannot be seen actually associating with them because then he might be the person who is being attacked by whoever the next person happens to be. Because as we see, the left always eats itself for the most part, always progressing into deeper and deeper destruction. And then as far as what Isaac Young talks about, how every historical figure was secretly gay and black as well, yada, yada, yada. He literally does this, right? He did this back in September where he says, apparently the usual suspects are upset at how woke the new Dragon Age is, and apparently sudden and unexpected development in the series. So he's basically trying to claim, oh, Dragon Age was always woke. What were you even talking about? If you didn't catch on to the little idiosyncrasies that I weaved into the story, you're an effing tourist. Like, I mean, you literally can't make this stuff up. I mean, these people are, the NPC meme is real, and we can basically we've basically been able to kind of what's the word I'm looking for here, brew it down, distill it down, I think is the word, distill it down to how these people operate. And I think Isaac Young, one of the best people to do that here in this video. And we see this time and time again that these people do fit this to a T. David Gaider here being the last example. In fact, Gaider would go on to respond to another user saying this: if they gave up on BioWare a decade ago or more, for those of whom Dragon Age Origins was the last good game, then they were never going to buy the game anyhow, at which point, why should BioWare listen to them? Abandon your franchise and woo us instead. Okay, sure, Chan. Remember, this is the guy who wrote the game, and what did he just say? He's likely not going to buy it, even though they are literally appealing to him and his woke ideology. But chances are I won't buy it. So continue to try and appeal to the people that aren't going to buy the game. I mean, literally cannot make this stuff up. They fit it to a T. Fits the glove. Does fit in this case. But let me know what you guys make of David Gaider's complete and utter meltdown here over on Blue Sky. Kind of serving as the perfect example of how these people operate, how they don't actually care about creating entertainment. They don't care about creating fantasy. They don't care about creating escape. They only care about selling you their evil ideology and their disgusting, warped, twisted politics. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth.